somebody, and yeah, this year you're gonna have to do some more heavy lifting.
Yeah, and there's also all those many different like you can shoot from like nearby or like you can shoot from far off. So it's like, how are you guys thinking? Like, are you guys planning on shooting like to the close one, like near the white tapes, like where you can shoot it from? Or are you gonna shoot from far off? So how are you guys thinking about that?
I think you kind of have to have. To an extent, I think we're working a lot on getting the robot working long term, not really worrying a lot about because a lot of the robots at scrimmages and stuff, you got your fixed angles, your fixed powers, very little automation, no cameras. So I think the more you work on the robot, the more you're going to be able to decide where you shoot from, as long as you're within the size.
Yeah, and that was, I think eventually the goal is to be able to have like adjustables so we're able to do it wherever and be adaptable to the situation. But from what we've seen and what we've tested so far, it's easier for us to be able to shoot up close because when you're shooting from so far back, it requires a lot more power, which causes the ball to bounce out a lot more. And even if it goes through the hole on the side, it will roll out. And so it's a little bit tricky with that, just with the luck of the draw of how the ball bounces. We have a lot more control when you're shooting up closer at slower speeds.
Yeah. I think there might be something up with your guys' camera. It shows up as black.
I'm sorry?
Your camera's like blacked out. Like I can't really see anything.
Can't see us?
Yeah.
Let me try.
I don't know if it's something on my end or.
Let me try.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure because I can see them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry about that. We're outside.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so I think like we said before, just that it'll be definitely interesting to see because I remember from last year, just as you move up in the league meets, that in the first few league meets, it was like each team sort of doing their own thing. Like there was no defending or blocking like the submersible zones, but then like once we got to states, there was so much contact between the robots, just like playing defense, and the game strategy like leveled up almost. So it'll be interesting to see how teams decide to defend this year, just because like last year if you just stood in one zone, the team could like it was harder for the team to go around because you could move to block them. But this year, like there's a huge open field that they can just drive around. So
yeah, I think it's just gonna be who can get to balls quicker, because you got to get 3 balls in there. But yeah, there's not really getting to a specific zone, but I think proximity of the balls to a shooting zone is going to be pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. What are other thoughts you guys have on this year's challenge?
I think it's better for the robots. I think for competition to make them more specialized.
Mm-hmm.
I think something we did last year was that we could play both sides. So I think that it may have been accidentally during the design process that we were able to do that, but I think that cost us some performance in the long run. But this year, when it's more centered, there's only one autonomous you're doing, but everything's more uniform. I think that's going to be very beneficial for competition in general. It's more bear based, less versatility based.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for you guys as robot, are you guys planning on integrating like new materials or like new designs or like anything, new like sensors, anything like that, or are you guys gonna play it safe and like use like past resources?
We're gonna gamble and see if we're one of the teams that hits the the new regulations out of the gate. So yeah, I think we're just going to try to do whatever we can to get the robot working as fast and as efficiently as possible by hopefully November, December. We should have a pretty good competitive robot.
Mm-hmm.
I think by then, you'll be able to see where teams are going to land for the rest of the season, unless, of course, they bring a huge upgrade package to states or nationals. But I think by then, you can actually see who's going to be on top of your region, who's going to be on top of your state. So, yeah.
When's your guys' first league meet?
November 1st, the day after Halloween, and so it's going to be a very festive day for us here.
No.
Okay, ours is just a week after, November 8th.
Okay, so, well, good luck with that.
Oh, good luck, yeah, thank you. Good luck to you guys too. But yeah, I think. How many league meets do you guys have? Are you guys in Orlando or?
No, we are in South Florida.
South Florida.
We're the fun league, they call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so 4 league meets is fairly
How about-
spaced out.
Yeah, how about you guys?
We have 3 and then the league champs at the end.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So
right.
our
Okay, nice. I think they've like made it so you have at least a month of time to fix iterations between.
yeah, that is about, except for our last competition, we have 2 in January, and so we have one the second week and one the last weekend, so we only have like a full week in between before our championship to fix everything.
Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's definitely going to be crunch time for our team.
Yeah.
But it's like we've done so much more in way less time. I mean, typically, this past year we were more on top of it, but in the past, I mean, we've stayed up to like 1, 2 in the morning the night before days. So I mean, that's just part. It's what you sign up for when you're part of the first and
No, yeah,
Rob-
for sure. For sure.
Yeah. How about you guys with the whole defense mechanism and everything? I know you guys have been like a lot more like longer sustaining team than we have. Typically speak, our number may be smaller, but we've only really rebooted the team in the last like 3 to 4 years.
No, I love
And
that.
so, have you guys been like looking back at past designs from like older teams, like from your history or anything, to work on that defense?
So yeah, I think one defensive wise, we've mainly just been trying to figure out how to make it so that we can't get pushed around a lot. So like the grip force wheels are something that we got this season that I think will definitely help with that. Last season, our goal is mainly just to build like a very compact, dense robot, and like we weren't like pushed around a lot, but like in some situations there were like areas that we couldn't go into because we were blocked off by like a huge robot. And so I think one thing we're probably going to prioritize this year is just figuring out how we can, different ways that we can get our robot to have more pushing force against another team. That way, like there's not as much defense in a specific zone like last year, but even if another team is in our way, we can just maneuver around them easily.
Yeah.
Who do you guys think are going to be the big names this year at Florida State?
Florida State's, well, I mean, you guys did amazing last year, so
Yeah.
I'm sure you guys will continue that trend. But aside from that, I mean, Golden Fish does good every single year, so they're definitely a
For
good
robot.
contender. Yeah, for robot. Java the Huts, we'll see how that goes. I know they lost a few of their lead members, but
Yeah.
I'm sure that they'll pull something together. And then Super 7 for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
No Pandera?
Oh, I completely forgot. Sorry. Yeah, Pandera, and then all the Palm Harbor teams. I feel like that's like
All the Pumpas, I think.
they're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, the biggest thing for us is going to be able to keep up with their development schedules.
Yeah.
So by November 1st, when everyone starts getting, their competitions rolling in and stuff, I think seeing where we stack up against Pandera, Golden Fish, that's key at the end of the day. That's your
Yeah.
competition.
For sure.
That's who you have to beat. So.
So then, in terms of like long-term game strategy, how do you guys sort of plan out where you want to be for your first few league meets versus like where you want to be towards like states and the last few league meets?
I think having, having the first iteration of the chassis done, the first iteration of all the shooters, everything working, and having some semblance of an automation. Obviously, it's not going to be perfect, but it should be there for the first competition, second competition. Having some kind of thing that where we're actually implementing it in teleop, that's going to be key as well. It just seems like an automated, the less human error there is on these robots, the quicker it's going to be. It's the story every year. But yeah, I think, lifting, I think it's definitely one of the issues that we're going to try to fix in the January package. But for now, I think we're going to try to get something, more competitive than we had like at States last year by November, December, around there. But I think the January upgrade package is going to be key.
Yeah, and we've been trying something new this year since we've accumulated so many parts throughout the last few years. We have 2 engineering teams, one with more newer engineers to prepare for the future, as well as our more senior engineers on the other. And so they've almost been not like competing, but pushing they've been pushing each other, be like, oh, well, if this team keeps working, we also have to work, and so they're on different schedules. Like our more junior team already, that's who built our scrimmage bot. Well, they're working on their more long-term bot, but they still push each other to keep up with their schedules.
Yeah,
which
sure. That's
I think.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I think having a good organizational structure, having everyone on check. We do through Notion, through Gmail chat. There's not much else you could do, but having everyone on schedule, I think is key this year because it's such a big regulation change. I mean, from center stage, you could just switch your intake.
Yeah.
You're done. You get within the size requirement. You're pretty much done. You already had some of the bases. Pulling is the same as it was in center stage, pretty much, just at a different angle. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think every single year now they're just adding more and more rules and regulations, so it's interesting to see how it'll change. Like, I mean, definitely the game will change just because the game challenge changed, but like how teams approach like more obscure designs versus like playing it safe and trying to make it as simple as possible.
Yeah, no, I think now's the time to enter it with that.
Yeah.
For January. I think January is key because that's when you have to get your rank points in your region. You have to start testing, getting your drivers really good. I think that's a very big key that a lot of teams do forget about, getting that driver practice in. So I think, it's going to be interesting because they keep adding regulations. I think it might be, related to the new control hubs that are going to come out 2027. Around there, you want teams to already be thinking about that because that new control hub's probably going to have different capabilities than the current one. That's going to be the biggest regulation change I think anyone's ever seen. So.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's after I graduate. Though.
That's just after I graduate as well. So.
Yeah. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, same here.
Juniors, we gotta do this.
Yeah. Then I think aside from that, going into like the game strategy of things, I feel like this year one aspect that's a lot different than previous, or not super different, but we haven't, like last season didn't have it as much, is like the complexity of the programming within the game. So like last year it was like teams definitely had complex code, but it was more like up to the team to determine how, like in what ways they wanted to add those complexities. But I feel like this year, because of the April tags and the tracking and everything, it's more like that barrier to enter a competitive like zone has just like lifted up.
They got lowered because I mean last year a lot of teams did the strategical flaw of to get the 5 specimens, the 5 sample autos and stuff like that, you needed some kind of recognition. But a lot of teams, in the early stages, you don't really need that to get past those first humps. But then when you get to states, you're like, oh, maybe I should have added this. So yeah, I think automation is going to be a much bigger key. So having a strong programmer is going to be key.
Yeah, especially because they brought back the randomization this year.
Yeah.
So,
I'm kind of happy they did that. I like the randomization. It was a unique challenge.
Yeah, it's definitely unique.
Yeah, and then even adding on to the randomization, the whole motif aspect. I almost said mosaics, but the motif aspect, I think, is also like interesting to see how teams will handle like picking up things in the right order versus like sorting it within the robot, and then when it comes to actually shooting it, how they have to work with their teammate to make sure everything's in synchrony and you're not shooting too fast, but not shooting too slow.
Honestly, I think sorting is going to be like, because a lot of teams, I know we did, like had the idea of the self-clipping, but it's such a far reach. But at the end of the day, when you went to states, world, premier events, you needed the self-clipping to really, yeah, well, you didn't really need it, but a lot of teams that had it, you're at a different level, in some regard. But I think this year, being able to sort is just going to be a worse way of doing that. It's just going to be that, but like the opposite of steroids. Like I don't think it's going to be worthwhile to sort. It takes up too much space. It's an entirely new design that you have to do. You're adding more weight. I think you're losing more performance in the long run, to be honest.
Yeah, so some stop and whether it's better to have just shoot up the balls, because when we're looking at it, since there aren't more purples, it may be more optimized to shoot in just as many purples as possible and hope for the best. and then also work on that end game versus making a shooting and having to worry about because which ball goes in when. That may take up more time than actually scoring.
Yeah, I think sorting you can do it manually when you drive. You gotta have a good driver, but sorting, if you do it a lot with a mechanism, it's gonna take too long. It's too much on the robot, so I don't think it's gonna be worth it. I could be proven wrong. I have been proven wrong a lot. It depends.
Yeah. I think I've seen a lot of sorting mechanism like the FPC Discord, and maybe because just the first iterations, but yeah, they've been.
It's huge. It's a revolver.
Yeah.
Efficient,
But I'm excited to see like once we get further down the line how fast teams can get it, like if they can get it instantly.
I don't know, because you're down to the constraint of how fast of a motor you can put there. Not wasting your stability on the robot. If you go too quick and miss it by a little bit, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's going to be interesting to see. It's a simpler game, especially compared to like 2 years ago at Center Stage with all the random side quests, but that allows teams to be able to optimize and like strategic in such like unique ways more as well.
Yeah, I think for this year, it's mostly relying on like communication with your teammates. Like, since it's such like an open field, like anything could go wrong. So then I think communication is key for like you and your teammates. So for scoring motifs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, also not crashing into your teammate. That's a pretty smart idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you guys think you're gonna prioritize while you're scouting for teams, right? I think that like bouncing off the communication aspect, the scouting and figuring out how your two robots are compatible is also equally important this season, because there's so many different aspects of the game that require both teams to be on the same page, whether it's like shooting the motifs in and getting the right pattern, or like the hanging thing at the suspending, hanging, whatever it's called, at the end.
I think for now you just have to find a robot that shoots the balls quick.
Yeah,
because to win you have to score the most points.
Yeah, and especially later on at the regionals and states levels, we really look for teams that not are only good but also compatible with us. Like a team may be really good, but our robots may do the same thing versus there's another task somebody else could be working on at that moment, or a different way of doing it that is more compatible, as well as just the team vibes and meshing as well. Like you have to find somebody that you can actually be friends with and hang out with and that you want to work with.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Do you have any other things you want to add?
I mean, I just think for now you just have to find the quickest robots, the best robots, and then when you get to states, that's when you try to fit. Did you lift or did you sacrifice size? I think, in any relationship like this, it's always like the one who can actually do it is the one with the power. So you have to prioritize getting lifting done. If you don't, then you have to sacrifice some chassis size and trying to fit it in under the other robot. But it's definitely about maximizing points, because to win you have to maximize the points.
For sure. I think like one other interesting part of the game is like, I don't know how to explain it, but just the teams figuring out different ways to launch it, right? So like I've seen a lot of prototypes of like the catapult designs and the flywheel designs, and so I'm just wondering like how teams will be, what design do you think will be the most consistent?
I would definitely anything that you can do it continuously. That way you save the most time. Probably wheels, not gonna give away too much, but if you're on the FTC Discord, you probably know the most optimal strat.
Yeah.
You don't need me to tell you.
But with the wheels though, I've seen there's a lot of trade-offs between like how quickly you shoot and then you have to wait for your motor to ramp up back to speed.
I mean, yeah, that's just inertia.
Yeah.
RC teams have gone and fixed that issue by now. There's already documentation on how to fix it. I think a lot of teams is gotta change how you mount it, to be honest, how you're doing things. Um, yeah, just to coincide with physics, because physics for the robot.
So then, like, moving outside of the robot aspects of the game, how do you guys think you're going to sort of manage your team so that they're working as efficiently as possible? Because like, you hope, like my parents always tell me, why don't you guys spend like an hour there, 2 hours, and get everything undone in 2 hours? But realistically, that's not gonna happen. You know, everyone's like tight with each other.
Just even we had this the other day. Some like screw came off and like the wheels a little shaky, something like that. I was working on a different project at the time.
Yeah, I don't quite remember this. But,
it was something like that.
Yeah, but I think it's just about keeping everyone on track, having someone there as, you know, your point person, other captain, or, you know, someone you trust that, you know, is able to keep the team on guard. I think that's something that, you know, you have to do to win. You have to stay on focus, stay humble, just keep working, because the teams that put in the most effort are usually the ones that win.
But yeah, no, going back to the 2 hour thing, it's just even switching out something, if a part breaks, it could take a while just because of everything you have to do. And so like he created a Notion for this team this year, and we also have our own room now. We're very grateful for that. So we're having whiteboard trackers and very well keeping in the chat as well. We have our like just like normal chatting with the team because we're very close as a team, as well as our more of official communication, like what needs to get done, our tasks and everything. So just keeping that very straightforward so everybody knows and is on the same page about what needs to get done by when.
Yeah, for sure. We've definitely tried some, you know, time management things. It worked last season, so we'll see how it goes this season too.
Yeah. So now just moving on from like all design initiative thing, let's talk about outreach a little bit. So for your guys' outreach, what do you guys mainly prioritize and stuff like that?
Yeah, so what we're mainly prioritizing this year is tracking our outreach as well as expanding it a little bit and working with new different types of mentorship. We are a school team, and so we have a little bit of constraint with that about who exactly we're allowed to work with and everything. But I have been reaching out to a few places, and we're working on getting tours and other mentors as well. Not like official team mentors, but just people to give us advice and feedback on a robot. As well as we've been working with the school a lot at the events, volunteering. We want to show the school that we are grateful for everything they have provided for us, and so we want to give back to that community as well. And then, really just meeting people, getting our name out there, and expanding the social media too. That's mainly how we've been tracking our outreach as well.
Social media numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know one outreach event that we started last year was the Florida State Advocacy Conference. Did you guys hear about it or?
Yeah, so I actually went up there as well. I met a bunch of your team in Tallahassee, which it was a great experience.
Awesome! Yeah, great. So we just wanted to, you know, expand that initiative as well.
Yeah.
So if you guys know any teams or, you know, bring more people, the more the merrier. I know they started in Texas a few years ago, and they had maybe like 20 kids the first year, and now they have like 60 or 80. So I think that's the type of growth we want to try to do with this conference too, and so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, no, it's a great program. I think they just opened up one in New York as well, so really expanding that. I think that's a great thing, getting people to advocate for it more and be like, hey, we do all this stuff, but it's so much more important than just like a game.
Yeah.
Like it has so much effect on like the world and everything as well, because the kids who are doing this are innovators and they're going to help create a lot of the future.
And so when it comes to like, you know, culminating all these aspects into like your portfolio, how do you guys think that, like, how do you guys sort of time that out, you know, based on when your competition is, and then also like just organizing?
We just have good documentation.
Yes.
We think keep track of the sketches, all of the CAD, all of the code, and then also keep track of the Notion so that we can show people, hey, you know, this is how we do things, this is how we keep track of everything. But yeah, the portfolio is a huge part of the team. Very important.
We start working about it like a month in advance and start planning out. I wish there was more pages in that portfolio. There was so much more I could have added. But just being able to plan it out and have an equal distribution of our current robot, the one that did work, what our failures, but how we grew from them, as well as all the other aspects that come with the first competition. It's a very hard balancing act about how many pages you should dedicate to each category, as well as our sponsorship program that this is our second year getting it, being able to have sponsors. So really just working on that, and lots of photography. So documenting pretty much everything we do and throwing in Google Drive. It's very important. So everything, and we write after every outreach initiative. We also write down exactly what we've done, so that way we're able to look back on it, and it's not so much writing. Then at the last minute, we're able to just make some tweaks and edits and maybe some cuts.
Yeah, for sure. I think getting all those tedious tasks done when it happens is much more better than trying to remember what happened like 2 months ago, 4 months ago.
Yeah, definitely. Like for us, I think for time to times, like I think last year, since like most of our seniors left last year, we were a bit struggling here and there. But near like our like league portfolio, we stayed up a couple of nights. But then as we got used to it more and more, we started like documenting faster. So I think for this year, we're starting to plan out more of like outreach events and documenting everything like at this time instead of waiting until like the end.
Yeah.
So I think that really helps.
And I think
Consistency, you gotta be consistent.
Yeah. I think the last thing we can just talk about is like the overall advancement and the new award system, right? That's like a huge change this year, just the point system versus the awards rank advancement. So how do you guys think that's gonna affect what teams prioritize within competitions like their championships, versus like how overall it's gonna affect the advancement?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big change. I think the main goal you're looking for is just getting rank points, farming those rank points. But at the end of the day, I don't know what other teams are gonna do. I think that just seems like the most logical thing. But I know 6-1, we're still gonna prioritize winning. That's the culture you want to have in the team. That's the big celebration. That's the big vibes you want to have for the whole team. Yep.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much. It was great having this call with you guys, and we hope to see you at States again.
You too.
Right.
Thank you so much, and good luck with everything.
You too.
You too.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Yeah, States.